Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Rambling Through Everyday Life with Fran and Angela. My name is Fran. I'm one of the co-hosts, and I'm so glad that you're here. What a fun episode to tune into this week, you guys. We open up with an internet crazy conversation that involved Angela Snyder as an attorney. I personally would have died if that would have happened to me, but she's a champ, handled it like a champ. We give you a farm update. We have a big, super fun, rambling surprise. Oh, y'all, you may remember the conversation that we referenced that occurred back in the fall. And lo and behold, look what the Lord is doing. And then we finally wrap up with a very sweet update on our volleyball tree. If you listened last week, you heard about this. So anyway, fun stuff. We love you guys so very much. Enjoy the conversation. Have a great day.
I look ready.
I hope y'all heard that as I hit record. Angela said, "Do I look ready?" Y'all, here we are.
It's the middle of a work day.
Hey, what have you done today in the lawyer world?
Whew, y'all. I have been in a divorce mediation since 9 a.m. and it is now 2 o'clock.
I'm sorry.
And my brain feels like it's been walloped, but it ended in a great result for my client. So here we are.
Can we briefly reference? I didn't set you up for that. I didn't know that that's what I forgot that's what you've been doing today. Well, actually, you just told me you were going to be in a mediation. I didn't know it was a divorce mediation. Is every mediation a divorce?
No, any case. So mediation is a process that keeps you out of a courtroom.
Welcome to the podcast,
people. That's right. Welcome to the podcast and also your legal consultation. So mediation is a great way for, this is what's funny. If you know me personally, you will know that this is true. If you know me professionally, people don't always, people are like, "Oh, I had no idea you were a lawyer," which is a compliment in, our Bible study world.
Yes.
But then sometimes people are in the courtroom are like, "I didn't know you go to church." That's not a compliment. But mediation is great because it is a timeout on the litigation process where you can say, "Okay, for today and today only, put your guns down, stop throwing mud at each other. Let's try to come together. You're not going to love it, but you can live with it. You're in control of your negotiated agreement and you can sign papers and never have to go to court. Your kids can get out from the middle of all this horrible drama. When things can just settle down and when people help craft their parenting plan, it's so much healthier for everybody, especially your children. That's what we did today, and I feel so good about it.
Well, and I'm glad that you feel good about it because you've really pulled back from this world.
Yes.
And so the fact that you've done it is incredible.
Yes.
Or spent the morning doing that. But okay, let's talk about, I don't know, in the last week, somebody, well, first of all,
pulled up.
First of all, y'all, this is kind of cringy and just like, what is even happening? This is, and I don't know that all towns have this, but the fact that there is a Facebook group called something like, "What's happening in Jackson, Tennessee?" And you never know what's going to get posted in this. And it's kind of like, People Magazine of your hometown or, whatever.
National Enquirer.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't come up with it. National Enquirer of your hometown. And so it's kind of fun. And like we laugh at it and make fun of it.
Until one of us is exposed.
Oh my gosh, y'all. And Angela's name is brought up. And I would personally die if I saw my name or people talking about me on a Facebook post that is not on my own page. I would crawl in a corner and cry and die and still be there. So Angela's name gets brought up under a post. Angela, read us the original post and then tell us what happened that caused the whole thing to be fabulous.
So this post came up 2 days ago. So we're recording on a Thursday.
Okay.
So on Tuesday, less than 48 hours ago, this post was made that says, "Anonymous for a member. Going up against my wife and Angela Snyder in divorce court. I need a very ambitious, go-getter beast of an attorney if I'm going to have a chance in hell. Money is no issue." And then he names some other lawyers with a question mark, and there's some big heavy hitters. So I see that I'm tagged in this post and you feel very exposed, very vulnerable. And I can't go delete this when people start chiming in and saying things that.
It's like a car wreck. I'm going to watch the whole thing happen, but just hope the injuries are not too terrible.
Yeah. So then I start getting screenshots. And I think, why are all, like, within 10 minutes?
And this is early. Like, you're telling me about it at 7 a.m. And I'm like, what is even happening?
My best friends, my sister, I'm getting all these screenshots of this. Then the rest of the day, when I tell y'all my phone blew up, I mean, my husband broke the internet.
He broke the internet.
My husband comments on this post and says, I've been trying to win an argument with Angela for 32 years. Good luck. So in 24 hours, almost 700 people had laughed at or liked or reacted to his comment. So it was so humorous for us because there are some really funny comments on here. There are some wonderful attorneys who have been named. Some people have been very kind and said some nice things. But it's fun, it's funny, it's fascinating, it's terrifying. It's all the things.
I would die. I would absolutely die.
Yeah. So I've talked about the girl gang on the podcast, and I think everybody listening needs a gang. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, there are these lawyers that I used to be in competition with, and to some degree, we're quote competitors. But years ago, when we realized we all need each other, we're going to be in this for the long haul. They are some of my best encouragers, uplifters, because nobody gets it like you do. So whatever field you're in, you need some of those people who can help you. But I had a conversation. One of them was my mediator today. And she and I had the conversation of, at what point, because I'm almost 50 years old. I've done this 20-something years. I feel like hopefully I've got more years behind me than ahead of me in this particular career. 22 years I was a family law attorney. It wears on you. It's exhausting. So I am doing more mediations where I'm the mediator. I love adoptions. I think I'll do those as long as I can. I love estate planning. It's just a different kind of law. But when we do, like today was very satisfying as a family law attorney to help this family. They got a good end result. And I asked her, I said, at what point do we sit back and say, you know what, I did a really great job for this family today, as opposed to being so critical. We've talked about imposter syndrome, even with things like, with our bodies and the way we talk, just, getting ready for springtime and, goodness gracious, swimsuits. Trying on a swimsuit will take you out if you don't have a really healthy self-esteem. But just at what point do we say, I'm going to celebrate that my body is strong? I'm going to, there's so much harsh, just unnecessary talk that comes out of our mouths or is in our minds. And we had that conversation of, because I think what prompted it too is in that Facebook group, in those comments, there were some people who were being really unkind about some other attorneys that we know do a great job. I've made enemies. I'm the hero or the villain, depending on which side. But you really do look at people and go, why can we not be a little more uplifting?
Amen.
Everything we're all doing is hard.
Well, and everything that we're all doing is hard. And again, I don't know where I said it this week, but at some point a group of us were talking about the body of Christ, and we are either taking somebody out of the body, you're wounding the body, or you're helping build it up and edify it. And
there's no neutral.
There is no neutral. It's one or the other. And I wish I would have learned a lot younger. There's absolutely no fruit, nothing good is going to come out of tearing another human being down, another person that bears the image of God. There is absolutely nothing good. Now, I will say that at times you have to process verbally a situation that is difficult, that where there was meanness involved. And so you can do that
with your safe people,
with a very safe, trusted person. That
don't go to the one that you know loves to gossip,
right, or stir it up,
with you and stir the pot.
Yeah, no, we don't want that. But it's just like if we could figure that out and not be so competitive and comparing ourselves against other people. Just be secure in who you are and how the Lord has made you and gifted you, and live from there. Period.
That's a great segue in a crazy way.
Okay.
To the other thing that I would love for us to talk about for a minute.
Okay.
Because we have two creatures to talk about who do not have that kind of security in their
creatures. Two creatures.
Two swans.
Two dang swans, y'all.
Who need some counseling.
Tell us about the swans.
They need some relationship counseling. Well, I told y'all last time that Mick has been run off the water by Rebo, the son that's now the dominant swan. And I think I told y'all then that we had put it off long enough, but we've decided when these males are 3 years old, they can't coexist with other males anymore. They just fight. They're one dominant swan and 5 acres is all they can handle, which is crazy. So it finally came to a point where my husband, and he kept saying, I can catch Mick, because Mick likes to fight him, because Mick thinks that Carl is after his woman. And Carl is just there to feed him.
Carl is a human.
He thinks Carl
not a swan.
Right. So he will bow up. Like how many videos have I sent you of Carl fighting this? Not Carl hurting. Carl is trying to grab his wings and just move him over.
Right.
It's like a flailing toddler, and you're not going at them. You're just trying to disarm them and move them along. So Carl and his toddler, Mick, he knew he could catch Mick, but the female is very fast. So one night, I don't even remember the timeline, but Carl came in and he looked like he was about to pass out. And he said he was panting, out of breath. And he said, you won't believe it, but I caught the female.
Oh, wow. And
I said, you did what? And he said, yes. He said.
And did what with her?
He put her in a dog kennel.
Can you even imagine seeing that all go down?
I was just on the couch, blissfully unaware. I wish I'd been out there with my video camera. But he caught the female. Then he told Cole, go get Mickey. We've got to take them. They've got to go down the road to the doctor's house. So our friend, Dr. Burton, lives down the road. Beautiful place. I sent you a video of that. Just gorgeous. He has a pond. So we take Mickey and whoever I don't even know all the swan names anymore. Mickey's wife needs a name. Y'all named Reba before we knew she was a dude. So we need to name Mickey's wife. But anyway, he had the two of them. And a little while later, they came back and Cole came in first, and he said, Mama, that was the most precious, heartbreaking thing I've ever seen in my life. Dad's really upset. Be nice to him. I was like, well, okay. I'm not mean to him, but I will be extra nice to him. The fact that a 15-year-old kid is aware that, something sensitive is happening was impressive.
Yeah.
So Carl is on the phone with Dr. Burton for probably an hour.
Oh, wow.
Now, here's what Mickey likes. Now, here's how he responds. Now, here's how I feed him, and here's how I play with him. And if he does this, it doesn't mean that. It was like when you leave your baby for the first time at grandma's house to go to dinner, and you spend 3 hours giving instructions for a 30-minute date night, and you come right back from the drive-through. It was intense. So last night we hopped on the Ranger and it's not that far from my house. We have visitation rights. He asked he was so cute. He said, would it be okay if sometimes we just want to come? Aww. We won't disturb you, but can we just park beside the road and walk down and say hi to him?
Oh, I love it.
Could not have a better neighbor, could not have a better situation. He was like, oh, absolutely, come anytime. So we go last night and we can't find him. But their neighbors have a pond. And Carl said, I bet those dumb swans are either at the wrong pond or they're not in the water, because they have to be in the water to not be eaten overnight. And it was almost sunset. So he drove around and he parked the Ranger by the road and he said, wait right here. I'm going in the woods.
Listen, this is like a fairy tale romantic love story. Yeah.
So after a while, I hear him talking to Mickey. So I can't see him. The woods are really thick, but I could hear that everything was fine. And he was so proud of what he accomplished, because he had to go find where they were and kind of help them along to get in the right pond. And Mickey had his chest all puffed out, so happy, and was just swimming around. And And
he's not going to try to find his way back to you all.
Carl does not think that he will.
Okay. Like he just doesn't have the intelligence to, or he's just as fine as he can be.
I will say, who knows, just like everything else with the swans and the turkeys and the farm life adventures. Stay tuned, everybody, because we do not know.
Nobody knew listening to this podcast that they would be as invested in these dang swans and now the eggs. And
we've got 5 eggs with it. And I saw it on the calendar. It's the first week of May. And Carl put swan egg watch.
Listen.
Anticipated hatch date.
I'm telling you.
So that's not that far away.
I can't wait. Listeners,
we may have swan babies.
Y'all can't wait either. You just don't know it. You can't wait. Okay, Kim, are we done talking about the swans?
I want to talk about the book.
Okay, because this is another creature story. Okay, I'm going to tell this story really quick, and this is new. Nobody's heard this before.
Breaking news.
This is breaking news. But it's just exciting, but it's also just fun to consider what the Lord is doing behind the scenes when you don't realize what he's doing until you get like a full glimpse and you're like, oh, okay. Looky here. Okay. Breaking news. So here we go. Last fall, you and I recorded an episode where you were telling a story about, I don't even remember. I called them ducks, but I know
I think it was when the turkeys went to school.
The turkeys. They were turkeys.
And they kept showing up on events, like it was Veterans Day, or it was every time they had a fun activity at school, the turkeys would show up.
The turkeys show up at school, and you are telling a story about these turkeys going to school because your hundreds of acres of property is across the street, a 2-lane highway across the street from Denmark Elementary School. And so the fact that these turkeys go to school is precious. Like, are they looking for Atlas? What do they think is happening at this school? Atlas is the little boy that lives with his mama that has lived with the Snyders for how many years? 4 or 5? 5 years.
From birth.
So Atlas goes to school here. And so you were telling a part of the story was the fact that the school called you.
The principal. We got a call from the principal.
The principal calls Angela, and then Angela has to call Carl. Come get your turkeys.
And the turkeys, y'all, if you can visualize a lobby full of glass windows and doors, and all the kids and teachers are walking through the school, just from time to time, and the turkeys are peering in from the front porch, like, let us in. We want to come play.
This is so precious to me. So then I was all fascinated by how does Carl go get turkeys and get them back home? I tell Angela this all the time. The life that she has is not normal. It is not common. Most people do not have these daily experiences, whether you're talking about the attorney world or the farm world, when those are 2 worlds that like I have no comprehension of. I do not understand, but I love that I get to kind of be a part of it. So you and I are telling this story. You're telling the story on the podcast. A listener has listened to the episode, and she makes a comment to me, you, both of us. I can't remember exactly, but she said, I think you all need to write a children's book about the turkeys going to school. And I'm pretty sure in that moment I went, that is so fun and that is so cute, because that would naturally be my response. That is really fun. That's really cute. Okay, whatever. And I just move on. Now, I also know through all of my wild adventures with the Lord that if he wants you to hang on to something, if it's truly a seed that he's planted, then he will plant it and it will come back to the surface in the right time and the right way. So I know, like a lot of you, we know how to discern at the right time, is this something that Fran wants to do, or is this something that the Lord wants to do? And I know the difference, just like you know the difference. Like, take my own opinions, thoughts, excitement out. Is this something of me, or is this something of the Lord? So the Lord planted that comment from that friend of ours, and it kind of just sat there. And I was always aware of it, but then it really began to bubble to the surface. And I immediately, however many weeks later, reached out to our buddy Ted Cluck. And I said, okay, Ted, humor me for a minute. If Angela and I were to write a book which FYI, we are not writing the book. But if we
or
were
illustrating the book.
or illustrating the book. But I happen to work on a college campus with access to a lot of students. If we were to develop this project, tell me the players involved here. I want to make sure I start moving down the right track, because at this point, I really did believe this was something that we were to water. This was a seed that we needed to water and to take care of, and it was from the Lord.
Which is fun, because this whole time, y'all, I heard the comment and tucked it away and moved on. Like, I had no idea this was brewing in the background.
Yeah. And
Which is also cool, because the Lord knows who needs to carry it and who's on track for something else.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's a whole nother conversation. And so Ted Cluck says, okay, this is who you need to get involved. You need to talk to Chris Bailey over in the English department. She's over creative writing, and you need to get the art department involved. And I was like, okay, perfect. Because Cluck is also like, he's journalism. I knew this wasn't journalism, clearly. But in the moment, I just needed some direction so that I didn't look like an idiot going, dear Dr. So-and-so, my name is, you don't know me, like going about it the wrong way.
And can we just pause long enough for other people who have just lived in Jackson, in and around Union University? Until recently, when I became more involved here on this campus, I don't want people to overlook how incredible the resources, the people, the professors, the students, like as this is taking shape and form, I'm just amazed at what Union University has to offer.
It's been right here the whole time.
Oh my goodness. Okay, carry on.
I forget. And I've said to you recently, I forget the access that I have.
Magnitude.
Yes. Is incredible, just the gifting of the different faculty and staff and students that we get to walk alongside every single day.
They're accessible and approachable, and also
available.
State of the art.
Yeah, they're phenomenal.
No pun intended. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I know Chris Bailey. She is creative writing. I know of her. We have worked together in the past. So I didn't mind sending her an email of, hey, can we get together in Barefoots? And I have an idea to pitch to you. That conversation occurs. She is completely on board. I said, I don't know who the students need to be. I don't know who you would like to tap to be the writers for this particular children's book. And she said, okay, let me think through some things. You talk to the art department, or maybe we talk to the art department. Let's set up this next conversation, because I knew there was no point in moving forward with the art department if we didn't have creative writing on board. Like, that would make no sense, because again, you and I are not writing this story. My vision has always been that the students, this is theirs. This is their story from beginning to end, so that they have a piece of work at the end of the day that they're super proud of, and they're getting class credit for it. They can say they're a published author or a published illustrator, and it goes on their resume, and they get to be a part of a really incredible experience. So that was the whole purpose. Like, this isn't for me to do. Let's take advantage of the students and their gifting and their skills and talents. So we have all the players involved. Everybody is in complete agreement. Yes, we can make this happen. And so yesterday, I found myself sitting in a conversation with very talented, smart people with extensive backgrounds and the ability, the knowledge, the experience they have. And I'm sure even in the attorney world, Angela, you have those moments where you sit in spaces and you just go, wow, 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 wow. This is really impressive. I'm very impressed by you people. And we are actually about to do this thing. Mm-hmm. And so I get an email last night. Well, hang on. I got to leave that part of the story out, because it's still kind of being shaped and formed a little bit. But anyway, all that to say, this book is a 2-year project. It is designed to be a 2-year project. And one of the first steps will be to get the creative writer or writers, probably writers, together, and they begin to consider the location, the turkeys, your house, atlas.
Think we need a field trip.
We need a field trip. And they are going to come up with like 3 different storylines. And Angela and I get to have a voice in, we like the direction this is going. Anyway, so we will have a production plan put together in late July, 1st of August, so that when the students come back on campus, the players are ready to go and start moving forward. So there will be a Rambling Through Everyday Life book that is just, I don't know, it's just an idea that we're taking. It's the Lord's, and we're not going to profit anything from it. I'm not going to say what we would like to do with any dollars sold, because that hasn't been discussed and worked out. We need a good lawyer, for crying out loud. Angela,
you know any good ones?
Know any good ones? What's happening in Jackson, Tennessee?
Right.
Let's start over.
Who do we need?
Anyway, it's just so super fun. It's so super fun to say yes to the Lord when everything seems absolutely ridiculous and I don't have time for this. I don't know how to do this. I will be the first one, because of all of my wild years with the Lord, doing wild, fun, adventurous things, to say, oh, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Sure. Do we know how? No, but we'll figure it out.
Well, and it's so interesting when you think about, and we're coming to this in a few minutes, but about planting seeds and how things grow and what the Lord plants in us. And the fact that you, with Heart of Whimsy, did something similar with a book and a doll in ministry. So when the Lord gives you this idea, you know, all of us are prone to either quit, laugh, question, you know, is this really from God? Is this whatever? But you've literally walked down this road.
Yeah.
You have a point of reference.
Yeah.
And even then, it's still like you want to make sure
Right.
that it is, like you said, that it's from the Lord,
Right.
and not from Fran. But and I love that, you know, it's my pet ding dong birds that can't stay at home that want to go to school. But I never once, like this was never my idea in any kind of way. I'm still just amazed by it all. And it's just like God. I love it when, and I've said this a lot, but I'm so prone to try to get caught up in the moment and be like, oh yeah, look what I did, or look what we did. And God's like, no, hold on, I did this.
Yeah,
so I love it when the biggest things that have happened in my life, He has created them to where if I tried to take credit, it would be laughable.
Oh.
And I love that. And I think He knows I need that to keep me humble. So I really do love that I never saw this coming. When you first told me, I was like, I'm sorry, what? What is happening? Because you waited until it was far along in the process in a good way.
And there is something to be said for, and I'll say this too, this will free you up, okay? This will free you up, because I learned this through the Heart of Whimsy and other things too, kind of like with Sydney Whitaker and FCA. The Lord gave that to her. So she feels some responsibility to steward that well. I have a feeling, based on history, even with the Heart of Whimsy and watching Sydney try to steward something with tremendous care, because it was given to her. I care about it. I care about what's happening here on campus. You care about it, Angela. So does lots of other people. But Sydney especially cares about it, because the Lord gave this to her. And I have a feeling, based on history, what I know to how the Lord works, that could happen here with this book too. That you could at some point feel like, oh, Fran's carrying all of this. It's fine, because the Lord wants me to carry it to a degree, just like He wants you to carry parts of it to a degree. Like there will be parts where you're super invested, where you want Atlas portrayed a certain way, or you're going to care about what the turkeys are doing. Yes, you will, you know? And so it just kind of like, just be mindful of, if you feel like, oh my gosh, she doesn't care about this part. No. That wasn't hers to care as much as you care. You're going to always care about this book and its development. But I think along the way, there will be times and places where the caring kind of shifts a little bit. And that's okay. Not everybody can care 100% of the time at the same, speed. It's impossible.
That's such a good lesson.
You have to free people up to recognize, like, it's fine. It's fine.
You know what else? I got tickled a second ago, because I thought, I don't know the name of Mick's Swan Bride, but I do know the turkey names. And they might need a pseudonym for a children's book. Do you remember the turkey names?
No, not at all. Couldn't tell you. Joe, Ben, Larry.
Worse.
Oh.
Or better. Willie, Waylon, and Bocephus. So,
my God.
children's book coming to you. they might need to be rewritten.
Yeah, we might rename those characters. We might rename Atlas. We don't know.
Do you know we had a horse when we were growing up?
Welcome to the farm episode.
Right. We had 5. There were 5 of us cousins, I think, at the time, maybe more. My math is shaky today. But we all got in a really big fight over what to name this horse. And I was probably in the 4th or 5th grade. We were not really super old. But my mother, the peacemaker, God bless her, she finally said, this horse can have 12 names. So it was like Polly, Cracker Jack, Applejack. Like the horse really had 12 names. Yeah. So the turkeys can have 2 or 3.
Yeah. But hey, here's the reality too. They're not going to care.
No.
So it's going to be fun. We will bring you all along for the development.
For the red carpet.
Yeah, because it's only a 2-year project. You'll never get bored.
That's right. More to come.
More to come.
That's
over
so exciting.
The next 2 years, everyone. You've heard it here first.
Well,
2 years is a long time.
I never thought I would transition from a turkey to somebody that I want to mention next.
Okay,
but we tend to transition in fun ways.
Yes.
Speaking of my family, and she has been on this podcast, and
She's
y'all
a
loved
turkey?
hearing from her. She's not a turkey.
No, she's not.
She's fabulous. But my Aunt Rayna won a really big award this week.
Yes.
And because she is the most humble person that we probably know, I have to shout her out because we're so proud of her. She won the Sue Shelton White Award, which is a really big, really prestigious award. And Sue Shelton White, it's all based on, it's from Business and Professional Women. It's based on the 19th Amendment. And Sue Shelton White was an attorney who practiced law in Jackson, Tennessee in 1926.
Angela, there could be an award named after you one day.
Oh, I doubt that very serious. The Turkey Award. For fun and comedy, maybe. But anyway, I want to shout out Rayna. And
Rayna's been on the show. What was the episode that
Be Prepared?
Yes, Be
with
Prepared.
Rayna Bomar.
Yeah.
And it was just so precious, and nobody deserves it more. But we have these awards called the Sterling Awards that recognize local women. And we said more than one time that night, just celebrating all these women being recognized. There was so much girl power. Mm-hmm. They could have solved a whole lot of problems in that room.
I love it.
Lots of people to celebrate.
Love it.
Okay.
What else?
Gracious.
What else do y'all not care about?
I know. So many things. I did, and I've mentioned this to you a few days ago, but I got to see Nelson Piercy, Mr. Piercy and his wife. They are so precious. And he was a principal at Tigrit right after I was there at Tigrit Junior High School. He was never my principal, and he was at Trinity. And he's one of those people that just stands out in my mind as this man gets it. I don't know how to quantify it, how to sum up like what makes him so great. But he's one of those people that just stands out in my mind as a leader and educator. Kids just gravitate to him. They respect him. They listen to him. And I had the opportunity to just ask him. I was like, Mr. Piercy, what is it? Like,
let me just say the fact that you I still call him Mr. Piercy.
Oh, yeah. I would never say Nelson.
No.
That would feel sacrilegious.
Could you imagine calling your principal by their first name?
No.
Your child's principal by their first name.
Back when I was at Tigrit, Coach Lowe had what he called the Board of Education, and it was a wooden paddle.
Yes.
So I still have that respect of you don't dare.
No.
You walk the line.
Yes. We are grown women calling this man Mr. Piercy.
At 50 years old. But yes, so Mr. Piercy said, and I love this, he said great leaders are humble and teachable. We talk about that all the time. And he referenced people that he had learned lessons from who were teachers when he was a principal, and he's learning from them. And I was hanging on his every word. But the thing I wanted to share is he said, I would spend the first week or two of school, when he was the middle school principal, he would learn every single student's name. And he said, when those students know that you know their name, when they know that you see them and you care about them, you can speak anything into them and have their respect, and they will respond.
Yeah.
And it just, I thought, there's so much power because we've talked all the time about you just want to be seen and understood and valued and cared for. And there's so much power in just learning. And on the heels of that, I will say I'm the worst at remembering people's names.
Me too.
So that is something that I walked away going, I don't know what I need to do. Some kind of little name game in my head.
Well, has Dr. Dub ever told you how he does it?
No, help me.
And Dr. Dub, I know you're listening. So again, I always ask for forgiveness. I feel like I get things halfway, 3/4 of the way right. But I think, because lots of people have asked him and I've asked him, but I feel like I'm somewhat right in this. So if he's meeting you for the first time and let's say you shake hands and he says, "Hi, my name is Dub." And you say, "Hi, my name is Angela." He says, "Hi, Angela. It's nice to meet you." So he's saying back your name so that he can grab a hold of your name, and he says it out loud. And then while you're talking, he is saying your name in his mind and will reference your name in the conversation so that your name is really being, put in his brain.
It solidifies.
Yes, it solidifies. And then I'm sure I feel like there's another step, but just he's saying it and remembering it and saying it in his mind, saying it out loud. And I'm like, that's what we need to do instead of me listening and trying to figure out how I'm supposed to respond instead of like actually listening and caring. And,
my brain is like a squirrel in that moment. Because I'm like, oh, what are we going to talk about next? And not, what is your name again?
Well, because you and I both are afraid of coming across as awkward. And
which makes us more awkward.
Which makes it more awkward. And so let me just pause right there. I'm done with that. But let me just say, I told y'all, you've heard Angela and I talk about Mark Campbell and Dub both, our president. These are two men on campus that we feel like we're the most awkward human beings around ever. So the other night. We try
so hard to be cool. And then we walk away going, really?
I know.
I did it again.
I did it again. I tried really hard to be normal. So at FCA last week, Mark Campbell spoke to the athletes. And so I didn't get a chance to talk to him at the beginning. So, oh, by golly, I got to make sure that I talk to him because I've got to prove that I'm normal. And so I go up to him.
That's where it goes off the rails.
Every time.
We can't just be normal. We have to prove that we're normal.
And that's where it goes off the rails,
for
people.
For real.
And so I go up to him and I'm starting to tell him something. And y'all, you've heard us say, and if you know Mark Campbell, you understand if you've had a conversation with him, his resting face, his listening face. I'm not going to say his resting face. His listening face.
He's very interested.
Is intense.
It's very intense.
We have eyebrow action going on, and he's squishing his eyebrows together.
Which I perceive as, you're a moron.
You're
Stop
an idiot.
Talking. But that's not what he actually thinks inside, so he says to us.
So he says, I think he's a liar. And so that's the look he gives me. And I immediately fall into that. I'm 9 years old and I've got to prove that I'm an intelligent female.
Did you quote scripture to him to prove that you're smart?
I probably did.
Smart and spiritual.
I'm not sure what flew out of my mouth.
We need to get him on this podcast.
Yes, we do.
That would be so fun.
Angela, we're going to do that. We're going to do that in the fall.
That would be so fun.
He's going to be one of our early guests so that we can keep talking about this.
And his precious wife, Molly. Kristen Blackburn calls me out. I was like, do you know she's my cousin? And she said, yes, because every time it comes up, you say, did you know she's my cousin? And I said, that's because I love that she's my cousin. She was also Miss JCM in 1994.
Oh.
She was Molly Graves and the kindest person.
She still is.
And remains to be. Like, people were like, is she fake? Nobody's
she's
truly
not
that
tarnished.
Nice.
Yeah, she's just as precious and genuine.
Wonderful person.
Like, you just kind of want to go like, ruffle her up a little bit so that she's not so precious.
Yes.
You're like, please tell me you've got some wounds somewhere.
And she's always been that way.
I know.
I'm her witness.
Yeah.
Well
anyway,
super quick, just to put a bow on this with Mr. Piercy and Dr.
Oh, yeah.
Dub.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. It just reminded me of this. So I told in that conversation, I said, that is so important. And that's also something that Fran and I have learned from Dr. Dub. And he said, well, I can tell you Dr. Dub excels at that because I sit 2 rows from him at the Union basketball games and he always calls me by name.
Yeah.
So it was sweet that I'm having the conversation and it all just.
Listen, I think I know, I do know people's names, but in the moment, I do it every day, is that I'm like, hang on a minute. Is that the right name? Hang on. That's somebody else.
You know, the good thing, though, we're at an age where we can just blame our age.
Well, oh, God, that sounds just awful. Like,
well, maybe it's not a positive.
I want to be better than
we're
that.
going to be better. We're going to play the name game in our minds. Make it rhyme with something. I don't know.
If you haven't learned anything today, let's talk about the name game.
Yeah.
Okay, this was fun. What else? How do we need to wrap it up?
We've got to talk about the tree.
The tree. Okay.
Because we talked about leading up to the tree. We
mentioned
mentioned the tree.
We have?
We mentioned the tree on
last week.
episode.
We sure did because Dr. Skibout came. Okay, so Skibout came and...
to Union Volleyball Bible Study.
And he, when it was over, Angela and I said, we're buying a tree. And
impulse purchase.
Yes, impulse purchase. But the best tree. We're so excited. I get a phone call early this week, and it is Dr. Michael Skibout, Dr. Mark Bolliard at Morris Nursery buying the volleyball tree. And they have purchased a 15-foot, I think it's called a Pacific Sunset Sugar Maple. Because I love all of those things, Angela. The Pacific coast, the California coast, the Pacific Ocean, a sunset, sugar, hello, and maple.
And that's not originally. We thought we were buying an oak tree.
We thought we were getting an oak tree, and they didn't have it, and they didn't have it. So this is
what we didn't get what we thought. We got what we needed.
Exactly right. So the 15-foot tree, we were able to see a picture. The seniors have picked out a quote that they would like put on this plaque. Angela and I will decide what it says in honor of, in recognition of, whatever we want it to say for this particular volleyball team. And then on Wednesday, whatever that date is coming up, we are all going to participate in the planting of this tree that will eventually be right next to a building that does not exist, but it's a building where there will be a new arena, classrooms. It's a really cool kind of multi-purpose building because I wanted it to be in a place where it would have meaning and not just some random place on campus. So anyway, Dr. Bolliard and I walked out there yesterday and he showed me where it would be. And I just kind of cried almost. I was like, I love this tree so much. I love this tree.
And we had a plot twist because we didn't get an oak tree. We got this tree. And what does this tree do that the oak tree does not?
This tree somehow has fruit involved.
Y'all.
Has some fruit involved. Dr. Bolliard, this is what's funny. This is when I wish I walked around with like a tape recorder. A tape recorder? Hello. I'm dating myself. A tape recorder. Okay. That you could just like
a voice memo.
You could just like capture moments because Dr. Bolliard is like talking tree talk, tree jargon to me at one point, and I thought I had no idea what these words are. No clue. Because he was explaining part of this fruit that has to do blah, 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 blah,
and
blah,
we've
blah,
talked
blah.
all semester in Bible study about what are you planting, what seeds, what fruit will come from that.
Well, and yes, and at the same time, putting that beside a legacy, you know, like what do you want to leave behind that is hardy? You have to, whatever you're leaving behind, you're currently growing. They go together at all times. One whole giant concept. So anyway, we get a tree. I don't want to say we, it's their tree.
No, it's our tree.
It's our tree.
We're the godmothers.
We're the godmothers of the tree. Anyway, so we can't wait. We'll show y'all pictures of all of that next week.
It's so
when
fun.
We are able to share that, we'll share that with y'all.
And they can come see their tree and show their families and stand under it and pray over it.
Yes, it's just beautiful. Anyway.
Love it, love it. Speaking of love, real quick, Sophie Hudson has a leadership book coming out.
I know, everybody. Can you even stand it? She's been on the show before, too.
We'll have to get her to come back. It's on Exodus.
Yes.
Moses.
Listen, I'm so dumb, Angela. You just said, I'm so dumb.
What?
You said, on Exodus. And I literally was thinking, what is Exodus? Is that like a platform? Is that like Zoom?
Yes, Fran.
She's going to join us via Exodus. Like I was
It's
thinking.
the new Zoom. Well, speaking of Zoom or some other kind of platform to be determined, probably not Zoom. We don't like Zoom, but Bible study.
Yeah, get your book.
Book club. The month of June, Untangle Your Emotions by Jennie Allen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, it is going to be great. We'll start that. We'll start to share more about that in the month of May. But
Yep.
Okay, everybody, y'all are awesome. Thanks always for listening to another episode of Rambling Through Everyday Life with Fran and Angela. Y'all have a super day. Thanks for listening, you guys. Listen, Angela and I would love to come and speak to your church, to your ministry, to your group, to your leaders. We are always willing and available to bring an encouraging, truthful, fun word. If that is something of interest to you, just send us a DM on Instagram, message us on Facebook, text us if you have our cell numbers. All right, you guys have a super great week. We'll see you next time.